Good morning, everyone. My name is Yuvashini Jagan.
I'm Savina Malraj.
I'm Sarvina Sasidaran.
Today, I'm going to start our session with a short and simple story. Imagine a student whose name Alia. She's a 17-year student and she's a good student. But she feels nervous when her friends urge her to skip class. She knows it's wrong, but she wants to fit in this generation. So this is what called peer pressure. First of all, what is peer pressure? What is peer pressure? Peer pressure simply means the influence of people in our own age group or social circle on our thoughts, decision and behavior. It happens because when we want to belong or we want to be accepted, and we often look at our friend what is normal. Sometimes peer pressure is obvious. A friend say, "Come on, just try it once." Sometimes it's a silent. No one says anything, but you feel you should act a certain way to fit in this generation or this society. This leads us naturally to the different type of peer pressure. So the first type of peer pressure is indirect peer pressure. What is the meaning of indirect peer pressure? Indirect peer pressure is a silent form of influence. No one openly tells us what to do, but we feel the push to behave a certain way just because everyone else is doing it. This kind of pressure often work through unspoken rules, group culture, or what we see on social media like Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat. For example, if all your classmates skip class, you might feel guilty for attending even though no one told you to skip. Second example is if your friends buy expensive shoes or cars or post edited selfies, you also may start to think you must do this to fit yourself in this generation. So this is the example of indirect peer pressure. So my question is, what is the effect of indirect peer pressure? The effect is it can lead to copying habits, fashion, trends, speech, or risky behavior without realizing it. However, it can also work positively, such as seeing your friends to do exercise, you also tend to do exercise. So it can be your daily routine also. And if your friends study hard, you also feel like I also want to study. You also feel like you are motivated. So this is the example of indirect peer pressure. Apart from that, how to handle indirect peer pressure? The first thing is, indirect peer pressure is subtle and unspoken. So the first step how to handle indirect peer pressure is awareness. They have lots of practical ways to manage it. The first way is choose your environment. You should spend more time with friends, clubs, or online spaces that support your values. When your surroundings are positive, you also feel positive. The second one is build self-confidence. Join activities that make you feel competent and proud. The more confident you are, the less you need to imitate others to feel accepted. Last but not least, talk it through. If you are unsure or uncomfortable about something, you just talk it with your parents, teachers, mentors, or your trusted person. Sometimes saying it out loud helps you realize whether it's the right thing or not. So this is the way to handle indirect peer pressure. That's all about me. What about you, Sabina?
So, apart from that, I'm going to talk about another type of peer pressure, which is direct peer pressure. This peer pressure is something that we experience in our daily life, and even when we don't realize it. Like, direct peer pressure is a type of peer influence where our friends, our classmates, or some people in our social group will urge or challenge us to behave in a certain way that we don't want to be. It's unlike direct peer pressure, where you simply feel the need to fit in. But in this case, direct peer pressure involves clear and verbal encouragement or actions to get you to do something, whether you like it or not. Direct peer pressure often takes part in our everyday life. For example, in schools, sometimes our friends might ask us or push us to skip our classes, like saying, "It's just one class, what's the big deal?" Like, they will push us to do something that we don't want to do. And in some other times, maybe at parties, our peers might ask us to drink. Like, it's just one drink, you won't get by that. So at these times, we couldn't say no even if we want to. And sometimes direct peer pressure can also happen in sports, like our own teammates might push us to cheat just for winning. As we look deeply in all these cases, there's one thing in common, that some people trying to influence our decisions and thoughts with theirs. And direct peer pressure is powerful because we all have the desire to belong. And of course, most of us doesn't want to left out. Like, we always want to fit in this generation, maintain our friendship with others, and we always have the fear of being labeled like boring or uncool. And that fear makes it hard for us to say no to certain things, even when we know it is not right. And if we see, direct peer pressure is not always on the negative side. It also has a positive side, like our friends might help us or push us to join some sports clubs, some school competitions, or even push us harder to study even better so we could get flying colors in our examinations. If you look carefully in these cases, the pressure still remains the same, but it leads us in an opposite way, where our life becomes more healthy and beneficial. Direct peer pressure can be very in strength, like sometimes it can be soft and gentle, like our friends repeatedly asking us to do something which is like studies or competitions, and sometimes it can be forceful. No matter soft or forceful, the key element is still the same, like someone is influencing or asking or pushing us to do something that we don't want to do. So that is what is called direct peer pressure. That's all from me. And what about you, Serena?
So instead of focusing on the negative side, let's shine a light on something that often overlooked, which is positive peer pressure. When we use the term peer pressure, we imagine that friends pushing us to make bad decisions like skipping class, trying dangerous things, or getting our values against our values to just fit in. But here is the thing. Peer pressure is not always bad. It can be one of the most powerful forces for good in our lives. So what exactly is positive peer pressure? Positive peer pressure happens when our friends or the people around us influence us to make good decisions, grow as individuals, and become better versions of ourselves. It's about encouragement, support and inspiration. Let me give you a few examples. Imagine being in a group of where everyone taking studies seriously. They are motivated, they do their homework, they prepare for their exams. Chances are you will feel inspired to do the same. It's not because that they forces you to, but it because the environment pushes you in a good way. Or think about a friend who decides to eat healthy, start exercising, or quit a bad habit. If you spend your time with them, you might begin to make similar changes, not out of pressure, but from a desire to improve yourself. That's positive peer pressure in action. Let's look at why this matters so much. First, it builds self-confidence. When you're surrounded by people who believe in doing the right thing and support you in making better choices, it gives you the courage to do what's right even when it's hard. Second, it encourages personal growth. Like positive peer pressure can motivate you to join a club, pick up a new skill, or try something outside your comfort zone, like public speaking, volunteering, or playing a sport. Third, it strengthens values. If your group of friends stands up against bullying or discrimination, you are more likely to do the same. Their influence reinforces your own beliefs and makes it easier to take a stand. Here is a real life example. In many schools, there are students who create a study group. These groups help each other understand tough subjects, share resources, and stay accountable. Just being part of such a group can improve your grades and your self-esteem. No pressure, just positive influence. Another example is community service. Many teenagers join social clubs or youth groups where they volunteer to clean up the environment, help the elderly, or raise funds for a cause. Seeing your friends give back to society can motivate you to do the same. So how can we encourage positive peer pressure? It starts with being a role model. When you make good choices, others notice. When you support your friends in doing the right thing, you become a source of positive influence. Remember, leadership isn't always about being in charge. Sometimes it's about simply getting a good example. That's it from me.
Cause of peer pressure. First one, curiosity and the need to experiment. What is curiosity? Curiosity is a natural human trait, especially during the teenage years. It's designed to find out what something feels like, how it works, or why other people doing it. This curiosity often work or linked to the need to experiment, the urge to try new things, test limits, and experience life firsthand rather than just hearing it. In the content of peer pressure, curiosity can become a powerful cause. When friends talk about a new activity, trend, or any risky behavior, a person might think, I wonder what that's like, or maybe I should give a try to that. Wants to see for myself. They may not even want the activity itself but are drawn by the excitement of doing something new and the fear of missing out. For example, joining a viral online challenge because everyone is posting about it. Changing style of language to match a group out of curiosity about fitting in this society or generations. This curiosity isn't always bad. It can lead to exploring positive activities such as new sports, volunteering, or creative hobbies when peers encourage them. But without guidance, curiosity combined with peer pressure can push someone toward harmful thing also. So this is the first cause of peer pressure. The second one is media and social media pressure. On the other hand, media and social media pressure. Today, social network life, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Netflix, movies and online influencers have a huge impact on how young teenagers or young people see themselves and what they think is normal and cool. These kind of platforms constantly show new trends, clothes, gadgets, slang, body image, hobbies, even attitudes. When an influencer or popular celebrity or any movie characters does something, wears a certain style, promote any product, support a cause, or behave a certain way, it sets a visible trend because these kind of posts or scenes are shared widely. Young people are exposed to the same image again and again. This can make a behavior or style seem like the standard everyone that should follow. Then peers, which means friends, classmates, teammates, homies, also start copying or discussing those kind of trends. They might buy the same product, join the same challenges, or talk about the same shows. If someone doesn't join in, they can feel like they are left out or behind. This is where peer pressure from media become powerful. This kind of media plants the idea. Peer reinforce it by doing it themselves. You feel pressure to participate to fit in. This can be negative. At the same time, this can be negative, which means overspending, unhealthy body image, or kind of risky behavior. At the same time, it can be positive too, which means joining charity, fitness trends like that. This key is that media and social media don't just influence you directly. They influence your friends and together that create a circle of pressure. So this is the two cause of peer pressure from me. What about you, Savina? So that is from me. What about you, Savina?
So, in my opinion, I want to talk about a powerful cause behind peer pressure. The fear of rejection or being judged. This fear plays a huge role in why people, especially young people, sometimes make choices they might not really want to make. Understanding this fear helps us see why peer pressure happens and how we can deal with it in a healthy way. First, let's break down what it means to be afraid of rejection or being judged. Humans are naturally social creatures. From the time we are born, we seek connection and belonging. we want to be accepted by our families, friends, and communities. This sense of belonging makes us feel safe, valued, and loved. It gives us confidence and happiness. But what happens when we feel like we might be left out, ignored, or criticized? That's when fear of rejection kicks in. Rejection means not being accepted by a group or a person we care about. It could be as simple as being excluded from a conversation, or as serious as losing friends because of our choices. When someone fears rejection, they might do things they don't truly want to do just to fit in and avoid feeling lonely or left out. Similarly, fear of being judged means worrying about what others think of us. We all want to look good in the eyes of others. We want to be seen as smart, funny, cool, or kind. But when the fear of judgment kicks in and it is strong, it can make us anxious and self-conscious. For example, if a group of friends teases someone for wearing a certain style of clothes, that person might feel pressure to change their appearance to avoid being left out or being laughed at. Even if they like their own style, the fear of judgment can push them to conform. Move on to the next. Another important cause of peer pressure is the lack of strong personal values or boundaries. When people don't have clear ideas about what they believe in or what's right for them, they become more vulnerable to being influenced by others. Let's start by understanding what personal values and boundaries mean. Personal values are the principles or beliefs that guide our decision, whereas boundaries are limits we set for ourselves about what behavior is acceptable. When someone doesn't have strong personal values or clear boundaries, they might not be sure what they stand for or what is acceptable to them. This uncertainty can make it easier for others to influence them. Imagine being a part of a group where everyone is doing something you are unsure about, maybe drinking alcohol or gossiping. If you don't have strong value that says, I don't want to do that, or a boundary that says, I won't participate this time, or I won't participate in this, you might go along with the group just to fit in. In contrast, if you have clear values, you can say no confidently. For example, if you believe in health and safety, you might refuse to try smoking even if your friends pressure you. That's it from me. What about you, Sarvina?
So now I'm going to talk about another two important causes of peer pressure that often work hand in hand. One of them were low self-esteem, and another one was dominant individuals in social groups. And let's begin with low self-esteem. It often refers to people who lack of confidence in their own decisions and choices. People with low self-esteem often doubt their own worth or feel insecure about their abilities. They may worry that their opinions are not good enough or that others will reject them if they speak up. Because of these feelings, they start to look for acceptance and validations from others or from the people those are around them. When friends or classmates suggest a particular action, whether it is something harmless like skipping class, a person with low self-esteem is more likely to follow along with them. The reason is just simple. They need to feel included, and approved can become stronger than their own inner voice and making it difficult to stand by their personal choices and decisions. This kind of insecurity does not mean a person is weak or coward. It simply shows that how deeply humans need to belong in somewhere. Everyone wants to feel liked and accepted, especially during teenage years when friendships and social groups feel incredibly important. Even a confident person can sometimes feel pressured if they are having a bad day or feel insecure about themselves. Low self-esteem just makes that pressure much harder to receive on a regular basis. Now, let's look at the second cause, the influence of popular or dominant individuals. In almost every group, whether it is a classroom, a sports team, or an online community, there are certain people who naturally stand out. They might be admired for their looks, for their talents, their sense of humor, or their social status. Because they are seen as leaders and trendsetters, their opinion carries more weight than others. When these individuals suggest or encourage something to others, and the other people often follow and sometimes without even questioning it why. For example, if a well-liked student says let's all skip practice today, it suddenly feels less risky, and it is because the suggestion came from someone who mostly admired. People may copy their actions to gain attention or earn praise or just simply stay in their good graces. The power of these popular peers can be stronger than we realize. Their approval often feels like a shortcut in social success. A single smile, and a compliment, or even an invitation from them can make someone feel accepted, while their disapproval can feel like a personal failure. This makes their influence a major driving force behind many decisions made in social groups, especially among teenagers. So, in conclusion, by recognizing these causes is the first step towards understanding how peer pressure works in our daily life. And that is from me.
So, how to handle peer pressure? In my opinion, choose friends who respect you is one of the good way to handle peer pressure. One of the strongest way to protect yourself from negative peer pressure is to surround yourself with friends who respect your choices and values. Friends who truly respect you wouldn't force you to do something you are uncomfortable with or unsure. They wouldn't tease or shame you if you say no. Instead, they support your decision. They value and even if they are different from theirs. For example, if you choose not to spend money on a certain trend, respectful friends will accept your choice and wouldn't push you. Being with people like this reduces the chances of feeling pressure because you are in a group where saying no is a normal thing and accepted. On the other hand, friends who don't respect you might make fun of you, call your names, or threaten you to leave out unless you follow them. Staying close to people like that make it much harder to resist peer pressure. So when you choose friends who respect you, you are creating a positive support system. This helps you feel more confident in your own values and decisions. Avoid risky or unhealthy behavior. Build genuine friendship based on trust, not pressure. In short, the friends you keep can either protect you from peer pressure or make it stronger. So choosing respectful friends is key step in handling it. Apart from choose the respectful friends, they have one more, which is strengthen your self-confidence. When you have strong self-confidence, you believe in your own decisions, values and abilities. This makes it much easier to say no when someone tries to pressure you, because you are sure about what you want and don't feel you have to please everyone. People with low self-confidence often go along with the crowd of people just to be like or avoid conflict. But if you work on your confidence, you are less worried about being judged and more comfortable standing by your choices, even if they are different from your friends. Ways to strengthen self-confidence is knowing your values. You should be clear about what is right, what is wrong. Practicing saying no politely. This makes it easier in real situations. Third one is setting small goals and achieving them. Each success you build, you believe in yourself that make you to improve your self-confidence. Developing your skills and interest. When you are proud of what you are good at, you are really less on others' people's approval. Positive self-talk. It's a kind of reminder. Remind yourself of your strengths and weakness. So this is the way how we can strengthen our self-confidence. When you're confident, you send a message through your words, tone and body language that you wouldn't be easily pressured. Over time, people respect you more and more, and you can easily attract friends who appreciate your independence rather than trying to control you. So that's from me. What about you, Sabina?
So, another way to handle peer pressure is all about learning to say no with confidence. It maybe sounds really basic, but when you're actually in a moment, it is harder than you predict, because most of us have been in situations where our friends and peers are trying to convince us to do something, like skipping classes, trying alcohol, joining a TikTok trend, or even just teasing us to share something online. Inside, we know that it's not what we want to do, but saying no can feel awkward because we don't want to upset anyone or looking boring. When we talk about saying no with confidence, it's not just a word, it's a way you deliver it. If you say something like, I don't think so, maybe later, it shows hesitation and people might keep pushing you. But if you keep it short and clear, like, no thanks, I'm good, it sends a strong signal that you have made your decision. Body language is also matters a lot in these situations, like standing straight, looking at people in the eyes, and using a steady voice makes a big difference in these situations. Like, even if you feel nervous inside, acting confident can stop others from pressuring you further. Sometimes people worry that saying no will ruin our friendship, but real friends will respect our decisions. If someone keeps pressuring you after you have clearly said no, that actually shows they might not have your best interests at heart. You also don't need to give a long explanation. A simple "no thanks, that's not for me," or "I'm fine, it's enough." The more you explain, the easier it is for someone to argue with you. It helps to practice ahead of time, and even if it sounds funny, you can role play with a friend or just say it to yourself in a mirror. That way, when the real situation comes up, the words feels natural. In the end, every time you confidently say no, you are really saying yes to yourself, to your values, your comfort, and your goals. That's the key idea behind this point. So, apart from that, talking to a trusted adult is another way to handle peer pressure because it gives you support and guidance when you feel stuck. A trusted adult can be anyone you feel safe with, like a parent, teacher, school counselor, coach, or any elderly family members, like someone who listens without judging you. When friends keep pressuring you to do something risky like skipping classes, trying alcohol, or joining any dangerous trends, sharing the situation with an adult can help you see things more clearly. They have more life experience, so they can suggest practical ways to say no, help you plan what to do next, or even step in if the situation has become serious. It doesn't mean you're weak. It just shows that you're smart enough to protect yourself and ask for help instead of handling everything all alone. Sometimes just hearing an adult say you're doing the right thing can give you the confidence to stand by your decisions and stay true to your values. What about you, Serena?
So I want to talk about something similar that Yuva and Sarvina said, which is knowing your values and limits. You might wonder, what exactly are values and limits? And why is it so important to know them? Let's start with values. Values are the things that matter most to us, the beliefs and principles that guide how we live our lives. They are like an internal compass helping us decide what is right and wrong, what we care about, and what kind of person we want to be. For example, some people value honesty, meaning they always try to tell the truth, even if it's hard. Others might value kindness, so they do their best to treat everyone with respect. Some might value health, so they avoid things that could harm their health. Knowing your values means you understand what is important to you. When you know your values, it becomes easier to make decisions because you can ask yourself, does this choice match what I believe in? Now, let's talk about the limits. Limits are the boundaries we set for ourselves. They define what behavior we are comfortable with and what we are not willing to accept. Limits protect us from harm, whether physical, emotional, or moral. For example, if you set a limit that you won't drink alcohol or try drugs, you have created a boundary that helps keep you safe and healthy. If you have a limit on how much you spend on your phone or social media, it helps you balance your life and focus on other important things. Knowing your limits means you understand where your line is, what you are okay with and what you are not okay with. So why is it important to know your values and limits? When you have a clear sense of your values and limits, you become much stronger in facing challenges like peer pressure. Peer pressure often works because people don't know why what they stand for, or they haven't set clear boundaries. Without this clarity, it's easy to get pushed around or make choices that don't feel right. But when you know your values, you can say things like, I don't want to do this because it goes against what I believe. When you know your limits, you can confidently say, this is where I draw the line and I won't go beyond it. Knowing your values and limits gives you confidence and self-respect. It helps you stand up for yourself and make decisions that are best for you, not just to fit in or avoid being judged. Let me give you an example. Imagine you value honesty. One day, your friends want you to lie for them to get out of a trouble. Because you know your value of honesty, you can say no even if it's uncomfortable. You have set a limit on what you will do. Or maybe you have a limit on how late you stay out with friends because you want to get enough sleep for school. Knowing that limit helps you make choices that keep you healthy and focused. In short, knowing your values and limits helps you live a life that feels true and meaningful. It protects you from making decisions you will regret later and helps you build respect from others and yourself. So take some time, think about what matters most to you. That's it from me.
So, in general, peer pressure is a normal part of growing up and interacting with others, but sometimes we must learn to handle positive ways, like encouraging good habits or helping us trying new experiences. But it can also lead us into situations that are harmful or against our beliefs and values. So, we need to think before acting and to make decisions that truly feel right for us instead of simply following the crowd. Real confidence comes from staying true to ourselves, and real friends will definitely going to respect our choices and decisions, even when we say no. Remember, the strength to choose your own path will always be more valuable than temporary approval from others. And that's all from us.
Thank you.